And look, this guy already tried to seize power once. January 6th was the day that my and Raphael Warnock's races were called in Georgia. We know his character and his will, and they are trying to lock in one-party rule in the United States, in large part because he's engaged in so much outright malfeasance and abuse and corruption that he can't afford to have a Democratic House that could investigate his misdeeds. So Democrats need to strike back. We have no time or luxury for high-minded hesitation because Trump and MAGA are going to do everything within their power to hold on and to lock in one-party rule in America. That's the reality that we face.
Okay, so now you just you started singing my song, Senator. I'm all in. I'm all in because the battle lines have been drawn for quite some time. You've got J.D. Vance, the Vice President, coming into Georgia tomorrow to do the song and dance about the big beautiful bill, to sell people on an idea that ultimately will hurt them. What is the countermeasure? What are you hoping happens tomorrow? What are you planning to do? What's on the ground? How are you touching barbershops? How are you touching, grocery stores? How are you touching where people are to let them know that what they're about to hear from this administration is the death of their health care, the death of the SNAP programs that keep their kids fed, the death of other institutions and support networks that they need. So don't believe the hype. Don't get caught up in the bling because you could get caught short if you do.
Well, there's a reason that they're scrambling to redraw maps in Texas ahead of the midterms. Is because there's a big Democratic wave forming because their agenda is so darn unpopular. I mean, you can't go just about anywhere in the country and sell an agenda that is defunding hospitals and nursing homes to cut taxes for the wealthiest people in the country. That bill is like 20 points underwater in Georgia, and the vice president is coming to do damage control because they realize that even in a purple state like Georgia, the public is opposed to what they're doing. I mean, we've lost 9 rural hospitals in 15 years in Georgia already. Just this week, it was reported that Evans Memorial Hospital in Georgia, small rural hospital, 49 beds, faces a $3+ million hole in their budget now next year. And the hospital is saying they might have to cut the ICU. This is exactly what we warned would happen when they passed a bill that guts America's healthcare system, cut taxes for the rich. So Vance is being sent on this little errand to come and play defense in Georgia, defending a bill they can't defend, trying to sell the unsellable. And let me just say this about J.D. Vance, because he was supposed to be this avatar of a new GOP that was for working class people in the United States. His legacy forever now is casting the decisive vote to throw millions of Americans off health care, throw seniors out of their nursing home beds, all to serve the wealthiest and most powerful people in the country. He has zero credibility as a champion for America's working class, and the damage control he's trying to do in Georgia this week is going to fall flat, and Georgians have already rejected this policy.
Senator, I want to stick in Evans County, Georgia, where you mentioned that rural hospital said that they're going to have to cut around $3.3 million from their annual budget. This is also after the hospital has had to cut their OBGYN services. Donald Trump won Evans by 70% of the vote last November. How do you, as the senator there, convince those folks who voted for Donald Trump in record numbers and said at 70% that this is not good for them, that this administration, in your estimation, is not good for them?
The good people of Evans County, Georgians, Republicans, Independents, Democrats know this is not good for our state. I mean, this policy is deeply unpopular in Georgia. That's why J.D. Vance is coming. You can rest assured I will be campaigning in Evans County and reminding those folks that J.D. Vance and Donald Trump and their Republican representatives passed a bill willfully and knowingly that has deprived their hospital, their little hospital, they're an hour away from any other hospital, of millions of dollars in funding when we already have a healthcare crisis in the state of Georgia. That's why Vance is here, because they are in trouble in Georgia, and he's trying to rescue them from their own mistakes.
Well, speaking of their mistakes and things that are deeply unpopular, you can add to that list this president's approach to immigration and deportation. You recently released a report as part of your Senate investigation into credible findings of human rights abuses in U.S. immigration detention. Let's look at some of those numbers. 41 credible reports of physical and sexual abuse of individuals in U.S. immigration detention, 14 credible reports of mistreatment of pregnant women, 18 credible reports of mistreatment of children. When you put those numbers before your Republican colleagues, what defense do they have?
Well, it's indefensible. You know, the American people expect and deserve secure borders. They do not expect and support human rights abuses of people who are in U.S. custody. And we have gathered more than 500 credible reports of serious human rights abuses in these Homeland Security facilities. You know, there at some point is going to be a reckoning for all of this. These folks who are working at these private prison companies, who are on Kristi Noem's staff right now, they are at some point going to have to testify under oath about what is happening in the facilities that they're currently running. And, you know, their plan is to expand the scope of detention. By the way, we're not talking about hardened criminals here. We're talking about pregnant women. We're talking about children. We're talking about people who have no business being in one of these horrible detention centers. And, you know, I believe that the American people have rejected this draconian and inhumane approach to interior enforcement. But in terms of my Republican colleagues, no spine is yet visible in the Senate.